Booyah, and it's time for the Game Sports Show. It's your host, David McKagan. I'm inside On TV Studios here in Sioux Online, and I'm joined by my friend and co-host since 2015, Justin Heichel. Justin, we've got an action-packed show as always. You're listening to the Game Sports Show, as I mentioned, through On TV, but also through our website potentially as well, thegamesportshow.com, or you may have been directed here through our social media pages at The Game Sports Show on Facebook and on Instagram. For tonight's agenda, we're going to get into talk about some local sports updates here in part one. Part two will be about the Sault Ste. Marie Greyhounds and a little interview from LSSU Laker head coach as well, with giving his announcement that the Lakers will be playing inside the GFL Memorial Gardens. And then in part 3/4 and 5 of the show, we're getting into some professional sports with the NHL, a little bit of MLB, and the NFL. And within all of that, we have a little bit of a surprise appearance from a very special guest. Can't tell you what that is. You can stick around to make sure you watch, because it's a pretty big announcement, especially if you're a fan of Instagram here in Sault Ste. Marie. As I would say, he's the face of Sault Ste. Marie. Him/her. Don't know what it is, but it's a great surprise we're going to have here on the show coming. But Justin, let's get started with today's show. Starting about Algoma University soccer. Now, Daniel Scarpino is not here. He's given us the keys to talk about soccer here, our soccer analyst. And you know what? Algoma University soccer did have a tough weekend this past weekend. They are looking to bounce back, but Daniel has always been given some nice weekend reports on Facebook. And the whole point of the Algoma University program, you know, they lost 6-0 this previous weekend. Now, this upcoming weekend, they play the Badgers on Saturday. That is the 28th. Overall, this program is looking to ascend in the right direction. And with individuals like Daniel Scarpino and Neil Ovey there at the helm, and just kind of backing that they're having with the program, it's positive.
I mean, they've definitely got the right staff in place to help their athletes, you know, through the growing pains of starting up a new program like that. They definitely have the talent to put on the field. They got the people in place to help guide these players. Now it's just a matter of building a team, so to say.
It is. You know what? Algoma University has had some terrific, some statistics the last couple of years in their growth. May not have shown much on the field in terms of winning and losing sort of thing. However, it's still growing, and they're playing against some schools that have a lot more recruitment base than what Sault Ste. Marie has to offer, but they are growing. And Justin, it's you and me tonight. So besides our guest is coming on shortly, usually we have an action-packed crew. So they're just gonna be able to hear our beautiful voices for the entirety of the show. But you can definitely check out Algoma University Soccer on Facebook. Obviously, check out the website. Check out our Facebook page. Just get all up to date with Algoma University Soccer Athletics. Now, transitioning to the Sault Thunderbirds, we're going to go to the ice here. The Sault Thunderbirds are on a little bit of a slide. You know, they've had to deal with and talking, and obviously you and I being close to Trevor Zachary, the GM of the Sault Thunderbirds. The Sault Thunderbirds are going through a little bit of pains themselves. They've had some injuries. They've had some suspensions. You know, they had a rough weekend against the Blind River Beavers. They just recently had a loss against the Sioux Eagles. That's on the Sault Thunderbirds Facebook page and also on our page on the Game Sports Show. But this upcoming weekend, they play Friday the 27th against Lumberjacks and the Saturday the 28th against Cochrane Crunch. So the Thunderbirds need to get bounced back, and they know this injuries and suspensions aren't excuses they like to use. They do have a very deep team. However, getting back under the win column is definitely important, because you want to get the culture change or the momentum change as the season continues.
You know, I'd rather see them have the hiccups early in the season rather than down the road come late February and going into the playoffs. Get it out of their system now, and I'm sure Coach will have them.
Oh, John Parko, definitely, obviously a fan and obvious the guest on the show often.
Big friend of the show.
Definitely. Matthew Bazarin with 5 points in 6 games. Nick Smith with 5, as seen on the graphic. Bazarin, a lot of expectations for him. And just the team overall, they have a very good team due to the Thunderbirds, but the overall parity in the NOJHL has been absolutely amazing. And with this, the Blind River Beavers is an amazing story. The turnaround with the Blind River Beavers, the Sioux Eagles, and just the Sioux Eagles got their first win in regulation against the Sioux Thunderbirds. So with them getting into the win column and just seeing the border battle just being at a high rate now, we have some good hockey here in the Algoma region.
Oh, it was a crazy weekend this weekend. That's for sure.
It was. Sioux College home opening.
Saturday was nuts. There was soccer, there was hockey, there was high school football. Greyhounds played Saturday night, and then we had the Sioux College team going again at 12:30 Sunday.
Now we had Matt Primo, who was our football analyst and host of the show, covering the football side. Daniel Scarpino was covering the soccer side. Alex Parr was covering Sioux College and the Greyhounds. You and myself were covering the Sioux Thunderbirds. We were just all over here locally, which is just fantastic to see all the coverage here in sports in Sault Ste. Marie from our behalf. But obviously the Sioux Thunderbirds are hoping to bounce back this upcoming weekend, and I feel John Parker will get them going for sure. Now, sticking to another hockey team here locally, Sioux College men's hockey. Now, the Sioux College Cougars are coming off a Division III championship where Ryan Venderman, Austin Rowe, and a lot of talented players were on that team. And Ryan Venderman goes out saying how fantastic he was last year, the numbers he put up. You may as well said that he had 1,000 points because top of my head, I can't remember. I know it was well over 90 points last season, and he was MVP and winning a national championship, the first Canadian team to win a Division III national championship. Now they moved up to Division II, and starting this previous weekend with their tailgate, the homecoming, and everything of such outside at the Rankin, their new home rink. They started off the season 2-0. You can't say that's a bad start for Sioux College Cougars so far.
Doesn't seem like they lost a step after last season, moving up a division.
Yeah.
Doesn't seem like a whole lot's going to shake these guys. I mean, we're only 2 games in, but there was a pretty solid 2 games on the weekend, that's for sure.
And Ryan Venderman certainly didn't miss a beat either this past weekend. You know, he got over 5 goals. And Sioux College Athletics Instagram was lighting up, and the support inside the Rankin Arena, like overall the fans being there, it just crowded the rink. I love seeing it. That's such a good hockey rink to have a team such as Sioux College in there. The energy, the environment. It's one of my favorite rinks in town.
Oh, you know what? The popcorn at the Rankin.
Yeah,
I mean,
the fries.
I don't know what it is, but the popcorn at the Rankin is the best out of any rink I've been to anywhere.
Yeah, it is. And now with them having their logo, their home rink.
Oh yeah, no,
it's great.
It's
good to have a home
I mean,
rink.
I got a little distracted with the popcorn.
Now you're thinking about the food.
Yeah, no, it's getting close to supper, maybe. But no, it's they've really given the team a solid home atmosphere. I mean, the fans can get down there. The Sioux College logo is prevalent on the ice.
Yep.
The little light show they had before the game was pretty sweet.
Yes.
You know, and not just with the Sioux College game this weekend, but across every the high school games, the university games, the fan support was there.
It was
every event this weekend, and the weather wasn't even. Saturday was really nice. Don't get me wrong, but Sunday was not. As far as weather goes, the best day.
Perfect football Sunday, if you will.
But the fans didn't rain or shine. The fans made it out this weekend.
They did. Now, with the Sioux Greyhounds, we are going to transition to that on the next part of the show, but they obviously had a great opening weekend. But the Sioux College Cougars, I must say, they play up in Tryon University this Friday and Saturday to continue their season. And overall, you have another busy weekend locally in sports to follow, and another busy weekend for the Game Sports Show and our analysts to be on scene with everything that we possibly can here. So overall, this weekend, okay, I'll let you put you on the spot here, Justin. I get to do that once in a while. Put you on the spot. Are the teams looking forward this season? I know we look forward to covering every sports team here locally, but what team do you have your eye on in terms of expectations locally?
For me personally, I think I'm still holding Sioux College pretty high as far as moving up a division. With the season they had last year, the returning players they have this year, I think Sioux College Cougars men's hockey should be a standout product this year.
Definitely, and I couldn't agree more. I was gonna go the Sioux College men's hockey route, but I'm gonna go the obvious route here with the Sioux Greyhounds. Okay, and that is what we're gonna talk about in our next part of the show. But I'll say quickly about the Hounds. A lot of people are saying they're not going to be as good as they were in previous years, or they're not going to be as exciting as they were in previous years. Hey, this past weekend they looked pretty exciting, and they're still without Barrett Hayton. I don't know if he's going to be coming back, Barrett Hayton. We're going to be talking about that in the next part as well. But the Sioux Greyhounds right now, they have expectations, but also they don't have a lot of pressure, which is good, and I think they're still going to be a team heavily watched here locally. Dave McKeag, Justin Heichel, we're going to take a quick break. When we come back, we're going to talk about the Sioux Greyhounds here on the Game Sports Show. Don't go anywhere. Welcome back to the Game Sports Show inside On TV Studios. Dave McKeag, the one and only Justin Heichel. And we are going to transition now into part 2 of the show. We're going to continue our local discussion, and we're going to talk about the Sault Ste. Marie Greyhounds in terms of their opening weekend and their upcoming games. Now, the Greyhounds had a very strong home opening weekend, winning 6-3 against the Flint Firebirds, and then winning 6-4 over the North Bay Battalion. And you know what? That is a pretty good home opener to go 2-0, Justin. Can't complain.
You know what? I think that was quieted some of the skeptical fans there this week, where the Hounds weren't going to be very good.
Fan
We didn't know
support
what
was
we
good
were
this
getting.
weekend as well.
Oh yeah, packed house Friday night. I'm not sure if it was a sellout Saturday, but I know Friday
close
night
to it.
was a sellout. I think Saturday was damn close.
It was. We had a lot of strong performances. McLean, McKay. We also had Pitlick play extremely well. Overall, the team is just looking very exciting on the ice, and seeing the results and the highlight packages and just everything that was on the ice there just seems like this team is going to be a very exciting team this season.
I mean, right now it's looking like Pitlick's going to be one of the players to watch on this team.
He's a
going into
first-round
this season.
pick in the National Hockey League.
Yeah.
I've said that. We've said that from the start. Ryan O'Rourke is looking absolutely perfect out there. It's amazing to see. And we had a lot of individuals in the area that are sports individuals and experts say that the Hounds aren't going to be a strong team this year.
I mean, we're
still early.
We're 2 games in, but I mean, it was a good 2 games. That's and even Friday night, I watching Flint, because Flint was one of our teams to watch going into this season.
Yep.
They did look much improved over last year.
Yeah.
I'm not going to get into too much detail because I don't know how many Flint fans we have watching the show, but it was nice to see the Flint Firebirds kind of rallying the troops there a little bit over the demeanor the team had at the end of last season.
They're going to definitely have a much stronger year this year as Flint. I don't know if they are going to be a playoff team this year to be full out, but I feel like they're going to make it interesting. They can play a lot of spoilers this year. They can be a team that can be surprising coming through, and a team that maybe if you give them enough time, maybe they could squeak into a playoff spot, but I can't see them really being that team, but improved they will be. Now, North Bay as well, there's another good hockey team there, but the Hounds, just their speed, their tenacity, and everything that they had on the ice this weekend, they were energized by the home crowd. They were energized to be on the ice. And as you and I just mentioned, Pitlick, O'Rourke, and McKay this year, let me tell you, that guy is going to be playing with an absolute chip on his shoulder, because there's somebody who went undrafted, who we all thought, especially on this panel, was going to be drafted, especially by somebody named Kyle Dubas, who's from the Sioux. I'm not throwing Kyle under the bus by any means, but you know what? He's going to have an impressive campaign. And if Barrett Hayton returns, and we're going to get to Barrett in just a few moments, but the Hounds have games this upcoming weekend as well. They should be able to continue this year going forward just as strong as they started the year.
Oh, 100%. I think if they can build off this weekend and keep going, I mean, it's especially where we don't know if Hayton's coming back yet.
Yeah.
I'd like to see him stick, but part of
That's
me,
up to Arizona.
the selfish part of me wants to see him come back, just because add him to this roster already, and I think this is a dangerous team.
It's just overall that if you have someone like Barrett Hayton come back, it does 2 positives for a team. Either A, they become, let's say, more of a stronger team, or if things don't work out this year, like some experts have said, then maybe Barrett Hayton is traded or moved, and you get some good value for this team, but I can't see that being an option. If Barrett returns, I think he would stay here, especially since he'd be donning the C with the Sault Ste. Marie Greyhounds. We're going to talk more about the Sioux Greyhounds on our Thursday show from Northern Superior Brewing Company. We have a preview going into the weekend. We're going to transition into Barrett Hayton right now, which is perfect to what we just topped off, who is being very impressive at the Arizona Coyotes preseason and camp right now. And there's a strong chance that he's going to make this team on Arizona. He was drafted first round, 5th pick in 2018. He's obviously with the Greyhounds. He's from Peterborough, and he obviously played in the World Juniors with Canada. I don't know if he comes back to the junior ranks, if he obviously would be one of the leaders on Team Canada this year, the World Juniors. But for him to play on Arizona wouldn't be a bad thing for him, and I think there's a strong chance he does.
Well, it's not the old Arizona Coyotes that everyone's used to anymore. I mean, the teams, I think they're gone. They bottomed out, and they're on the up and up now. And I mean, he's got a chance to play with my boy Phil the Thrills. So, and I think Phil makes everyone better.
I think Barrett Hayton playing with Phil would be the perfect combination. You have someone who's very smart with the puck, and he's going to get better as he gets older, especially. So I think Barrett, being the position that he is positioned to succeed in Arizona. He will be there for the first 10 games. The first 10 games, Barrett Hayton will start with Arizona. And depending on how those first 10 games go, obviously goes without saying that's if he'll get sent down. I know it's a very cliche thing to say. However, if he fits in well, even if he only gets 1 goal and 1 assist, 2 points in the first 10 games, if it fits in nicely, they're going to keep them there. And Arizona has been a project for years. Fans, the money, are they going to stay there? I think Barrett Hayton's the type of guys that hoping could save the franchise. And I think with him playing this year, he has a chance. I know a lot of Hound fans are hoping that he comes back. Person that we saw play in the preseason in Colorado, former Greyhound, Connor Timmins. Connor Timmins has returned to the ice after 18 months being off after suffering an injury in the playoffs while he was making the Hounds run to the OHL Championship Memorial Cup when they had Radish and Boris Kachuk, and they stacked up to try to get let's say, one of the best teams ever in junior hockey.
Yeah.
After 18 months, so he had a concussion, and it was the first time he's returned to action, and he did very well. He's doing very well in Colorado. It's great to see someone bounce back from such a serious injury.
Well, especially that young. You don't like to see, number one, you grow some favoritism toward players that have, played on the Greyhounds or played on the Thunderbirds or even played on the Eagles across the river. You like to see, you treat them like they're, local hometown products, whether they're from out of town, from the Sioux, and you want to see them all make it, but you don't want to see them kind of get stopped on their way.
No.
And having concussion problems and stuff. You want to see him be able to get out in camp, see what he's got, and see what he can do at the NHL level. And for me, it's almost a relief. It's nice to see him back out there, and it's good for him. I mean, that's got to be a tough grind for 18 months to
be missing out.
Yeah.
Now you have a Colorado defense that is a very stacked upcoming defensive core with Cale Makar there, and obviously with Connor Timmins. I'm very curious. It's something about Colorado. I know our boy Dane Hantro is also a little secret closet fan of the Colorado Avalanche. I don't know who Dane is. He's one of our analysts here on the show who hasn't made his appearance on television as of yet. But this is an up-and-coming team with Colorado. They're going to be very good, and Nathan McKinnon only signed for $6.3 million for a handful of years. It's absolutely fantastic. So Connor Timmins is in the right position there in Colorado.
No, it's I think it's a good system to grow up in. That's he's got a year or two where honestly there's probably not going to be a whole lot of pressure on him.
Nope.
Especially this season, he can kind of grow, get his legs, get the feel for the league, and whether he's probably going to be spending a lot of time in the A.
Just definitely to start.
But that's not bad. I mean, it's done wonders for, especially out west. I mean, look at Muzzin. Muzzin spent some time down in the A. Came up, Colin Miller.
Yep.
And even he's not a defenseman, but our friend of the show, Mike Amadio with the Kings, bounced back and forth last year, and so the AHL isn't a bad development place. It's a good place to get your legs, and the defense in Colorado, I think, is going to be one to watch out for in the next 5-6 years.
I definitely think so. Connor Timmins is in the right place right now in Colorado, and they're definitely taking care of him for sure. Now, we're going to get to an interview, Justin, that we promised with LSSU in terms of announcing their game that's going to be taking place at the GFL Memorial Gardens. Our analyst and co-host of the show, Alex Parr, was there to get that interview. So to get that full detail and story, we're going to go to Alex on scene there, and then we're going to take a break, and we come back, we got part 3 of the show, so don't go anywhere.
It's great to be over at GFL Memorial Gardens, where we just announced that we're going to be bringing one of our WCHA contests against Alabama Huntsville over to GFL for a game. It's something that's been talked about for many years and tried to be worked on at different times, and it's nice to finally make this a reality, and we're looking forward to a great event with our sister community here in Sault Ste. Marie, Ontario. It's excitement, I think I'm going into my 6 years as a coach. We've always tried to be very active in this side of the community. There's certainly a lot of different areas. Our university, it's important. Recruiting-wise, obviously, it's very competitive to recruit quality student athletes to our campus. So, we definitely want to expose our program and kind of show the young hockey players of this community that there's more than one route. And obviously, the OHL is a great route. The Greyhounds have done a tremendous job. But some people are looking for the NCAA, and we just want to expose that a little bit as well. So a lot of excitement for a lot of different areas because of the announcement. I mean, there are some differences between the game. I mean, certainly I think one thing when we look at it, there's an age difference. Our guys, our seniors are 23 and 24 years old. These guys are men. So there's a little bit different style of play, things like that. But it's a great game, just like the OHL is a great game. Great story there. Obviously, the Esposito name in this community, there doesn't need to be background story in that. But Phil Esposito's grandson, Nico Esposito Selovanov, will be a freshman for us. Nico grew up a little bit all over with his dad playing hockey and spent a lot of time with his grandfather as well. So that's going to be a real nice cultural tie. And it was really big for our recruiting process that Nico was comfortable with Sault Ste. Marie, still a lot of family over here. So for Nico, a bit of a homecoming to join our program at Lake Superior State.
Welcome back to the Game Sports Show. Dave McKay, Justin Heichel on TV Studios. Nowhere better to be listening to sports or viewing sports. It would be the right terminology for that. Either way.
Watching sports?
Watching sports, listening to sports. Either way, listen to us on TV, viewing us through on TV, or through our website, thegamesportshow.com. Now, we have an action-packed show, as I mentioned. This is part 3 of the show. We're going to get to the National Hockey League. And yes, we did say we have a special guest, but we're going to get to that in just a few moments. Justin, I'm going to slide over to you first. Steve Yzerman, the Detroit Red Wings. Yes, we talk about more teams than Toronto, and a lot of teams are what people are wanting. 75% of the time, people are saying we talk about the Leafs. Yeah, because they're invading a bunch of the news. Thank you, Mitch Marner. But Detroit Red Wings have brought in Steve Yzerman. We're going to get into a lot of other teams and news in the National Hockey League here that happened even today. But first, I'm going to go to Detroit Red Wings and to our Detroit fans out there, which I know there's a lot in the Sioux area. Steve Yzerman is the GM this year. His first year. Justin, what are you expecting from Stevie Y?
You know what? I think it's going to be interesting going into this season. I mean, he still finished the year with Tampa last year and came on into Detroit partway through the summer there, and it's interesting.
Definitely interesting. Now, who is this? This is the special guest. Does everyone know who this is? You should. The face of the Sioux. This is the surprise. The one and only Sioux Memes. Check him out on Instagram. He'll be doing uploads with the show through On TV going forward. Just little funny uploads, including with his memes. He's a great guy. Obviously, he knows his sports. Look at that jersey he has on.
Yeah, I love sports, you know. Happy to be here. Go Hounds, go. Oh, hey, look, Mom. I'm on TV.
Look at that. One and only Sioux Memes will be here on the Game Sports Show. Now, listen, you look great. Who is this guy? Guess what? You're never going to find out.
Thank you.
You're never going to find out. Give him a follow. He'll be here making funny appearances. That is our guest today. Justin, Steve Yzerman, and the Detroit Red Wings. I'm going to say, I must say, that is absolutely amazing. That was a surprise. I didn't think he was actually going to do that, but he did. So, Detroit Red Wings right now and the Detroit Red Wings with Steve Yzerman are in a position where they have nothing to lose. They have no issues. They have a rebuilding phase. And the Red Wing fans should not be expecting any type of playoff run, shouldn't be expecting any type of Stanley Cup in the very near future. Sorry if that hurts. I'm not sure what Steve Yzerman is going to do in the immediate, if he's going to make some big trades. He had some retirements with Cronwall. That suit didn't work out this year. But at the end of the day, the Red Wings have the right guy at the helm, and they're going to make the right choices. High draft pick Sedania. They have guys that are going to be great in the National Hockey League, and overall, I think their biggest thing is to improve their goaltending situation with their draft class.
Well, I mean, they're definitely set up for success going forward. I mean, they got a new barn, a legend coming back to Detroit to be your general manager. He's some really good young talent on the team. I mean, Dylan Larkin's nothing to turn your nose up at by any means, along with some of the high picks they've had the last few years. I do agree that goaltending is probably going to be an issue for them.
It is.
But I mean, that's the NHL. Goaltending's a tricky thing. You can't come by a franchise goaltender just by every draft. They're not available, and just a pack of them.
No, they're not. I feel like the best way to go about is if put on my GM hat, thinking I'm a GM of a national hockey team right now. But drafting a goalie and building them up. Goalies are so hard to draft because you don't know how they're going to turn out. Toronto fans know this as we traded Tuukka Raskoi for Andrew Raycroft and kept Justin Pogge. Sometimes there's different kind of positions that you're in, but I feel goalies have to take the time. You have to give them the patience and let them grow. Not every goalie is like Dominic Hasek, Martin Brodeur, and all those guys anymore. You don't really see those type of creamer crops. So Carey Prices, I guess, would be more of the modern hockey to use. But I feel like goalies take the time, and Detroit will take the time. That's what they've been known for. They take the time in the system. You pay your dues, and then you get your chance in the National Hockey League when right teams fit. And Steve Yzerman is one of the best leaders of all time. And he's going to be one of the best GMs of all time because look at the success that he did in Tampa. He'll bring that success over to the Detroit Red Wings, and that's what's scary for Toronto fans, anyone in the Atlantic, because you have a general manager that knows what he's doing and that is so respected, especially in his city. Speaking of Tampa Bay transitioning, Braden Point will be re-signing. in Tampa Bay, has re-signed in Tampa Bay, and will be staying there for the next 3 years. Pretty affordable cap hit for Braden Point.
It's the cap hit's an interesting one to me, and I mean it's around 6.25 I think is the number he's looking at. 3 years, and I mean no one's really talking about he signed for substantially less than Mitch Marner, but one of the angles that I haven't heard a lot of people talk about is the tax angle in Florida versus the tax angle in Ontario. I mean you can't beat those two numbers to death. Good for Tampa to get him re-signed. And I think a 3-year bridge like that is incredibly reasonable. That's
It definitely is. You have someone who has had almost the same amount of points as Mitch Marner has in the National Hockey League. Okay, like I've quoted Steve Dangle on the show. I'm a fan of his enthusiasm and how insane that he goes and everything. But he brought up a good example how Braden Point is like Mitch Marner. How similar points, a bit less. Okay, and on a better team, sure, I get that. But Braden Point is a premium. He has centerman, he can play wing, he can play the point on the power play. There's a guy that's a good team guy, and for three years at that cap, it's very affordable. I don't know how Tampa's making this all work with all their players, but they got some type of wizardry going on there in Tampa Bay. But having Braden Point there for 3 years, the goal is obviously to get Braden or try to win a cup in the 3 years. Then I guarantee you Braden Point will be getting paid after those 3 years and the 10 pluses. Now, another thing that happened in the National Hockey League that happened today, actually, Justin Falk, Carolina Hurricanes defenseman. That decor is absolutely packed in Carolina right now with the acquisition and signing of Jake Gardiner. Justin Falk will be going to the St. Louis Blues. Joel Edmondson, Daniel Bach, and a pick going back the other way is also Carolina sending a pick to the St. Louis Blues. Justin Falk, one of the leaders in Carolina. This was a trade that's been happening for well over a year. You've had Toronto rumored, Anaheim rumored. I think San Jose was even rumored at one point last year somehow. Well, I don't know how they would have fit that in the cap. But there's a lot of teams that were interested in Falk. And given that talent, St. Louis has added a good piece of their blue line that I actually feel that they didn't really have before. Pietrangelo and Colton Parayko are guys who can put up numbers. But Falk is a true, I think, more offensive defenseman more than he is a defender. He does block shots. He has a two-way mentality. However, that offensive side could be a good touch on St. Louis's top power play unit.
See, to me, I think it's interesting. I thought in my head, and I've tossed this around a little bit today, I thought St. Louis's defense was set in stone. I thought that going into this season,
you win a cup, you don't think much change is going to happen.
Exactly. I didn't think there was going to be a whole lot of change there. This kind of came out of nowhere. And to me, I'm wondering, is this almost to keep a player away from Winnipeg? Yeah. Because the Jets are...
Jets are in trouble, if you will. Okay. Trouba, see you later. Tyler Myers, see you later. Dustin Byfuglien hasn't retired, but...
And he's now suspended so that the team can protect.
It's either a trade or a suspension is happening in Winnipeg. But St. Louis is getting a guy on defense that is a decent cap. He re-signed a long-term extension there as well. Okay, that's I definitely must mention here as well. But his extension is fantastic in St. Louis, and it's a decent cap hit as well. And it's just over $6 million. For someone who can put up those numbers, St. Louis did make a good trade there, in my opinion. Now, the next move I want to go to, someone that re-signed, obviously a few weeks ago now, Joe Thornton. Sioux Greyhound, former Greyhound, one of the first overall pick. He is playing this year at 40 years old. He has had an amazing career, $2 million contract. He has over 1,400 points. It's over 1,000 assists, over 1,500 games played. Majority of them in San Jose, but he's also had time in Boston. And he took his free agent talents not to really explore elsewhere. His mind was either retirement or San Jose, and he chose to go to the San Jose Sharks. So that was, I think, a move that he's hoping to try to win the Stanley Cup this year.
I think so. I think this is probably his last go at the kick at it. But I think he can probably have a fairly productive year. I mean, aside from the injuries last year, he was a really good player for the San Jose Sharks. And I think if he can continue that success into this season, I think that's a really dangerous addition for the Sharks at $2 million.
Yeah.
And 40 years old versus the option they had for Patrick Marleau to sign him. I think Joe Thornton's a better deal.
It is, and he's a leader and someone who's just craving a cup. I know it would have been interesting if he was able to don the blue and white, but that's a wishful thinking, putting my Leaf fan hat on instead of my host hat. David, Justin, we're going to take a break. When we come back, we got part 4 of today's show, getting some more National Hockey League discussion. Don't go anywhere. Welcome back to the Game Sports Show. Dave McKay, Justin Heichel. Justin, before we get into the next part of the show, how about Sue Memes? What do you think of that announcement for the Game Sports Show?
It was pretty random. I mean, I didn't even know he was here. So,
No, he just popped up out of nowhere.
I mean, I need a little heads up if there's people under the desk for going forward.
So now you have Sue Memes. You can follow him at Sue Memes, obviously. He'll be doing video content in terms of, obviously, with himself, but he'll be working with the Game Sports Show. And obviously myself will getting some funny footage out there in our events and sporting events, etc. So I'll be very excited working with Sue Memes. And I make sure that I don't slip, in terms of saying the name. I never will, just so you know. Hockey talk.
Yeah, let's
More
get back
hockey
to
talk.
It. Let's get back to it.
Get back to sports talk. That's what people want to hear. But we are going to go to the Toronto Maple Leafs this time. We do going to do our Toronto Maple Leafs discussion in terms of the preseason, how things are going in terms of Michael Neuwirth, who got released today. Apparently he didn't want to play last night,
Yeah,
Justin.
he, quote-unquote, wasn't feeling up to it, as per Mike Babcock.
Oh, he wasn't feeling up to it.
Last night,
Okay.
I think the Overdrive guys were going to give a lowdown on why he wasn't making the trip, and then Mike Babcock had a press conference, and today he's looking for a job.
Yeah, he is definitely looking for a job. He didn't really have that bad of a preseason.
No, I thought he played okay. I wasn't a small sample size to go from, but there had to have been something that happened there to make him not feel up to it. And
Yep. And see, the thing is, Michael Hutchison had such a good game last night, too. The Toronto Maple Leafs played against the Montreal Canadiens. And here on the Game Sports Show, we're talking about every National Hockey League team, in particular with all the Canadian teams. But we're focusing on Toronto right now because of the moves this offseason are so drastic for Toronto. I feel in terms of Ottawa making a lot of moves that they did, too. And Montreal, I feel Toronto did make the most moves out of those three area Canadian teams. And last night, the Toronto Maple Leafs did play against the Montreal Canadiens in preseason, may I add. But the Montreal Canadiens did ice an NHL caliber type team. The Toronto Maple Leafs iced a more of an American Hockey League caliber team. And they had so much, as a word I like to use in here a lot, tenacity, so much excitement, so much speed, so much grit, and they drove the net, they scored goals. Korshkov looked fantastic out there. Nick Patin looked great as well out there. And obviously, you're going to see Hutchison and Anderson are going to be the goalies for Toronto. It seems like that's what's going to open the year. But you have a team that people have had question about. Now that Kadri's gone, he brought in Tyson Barrie, who obviously, if you're picking a fantasy team, he's in your top 15 defensemen for points, especially. But Alex Kerfoot, okay? There's a guy that gets brought in in that Nazem Kadri trade, signs a very affordable cap hit for the next handful of years or so. Is he a prototypical third-line center? Because I feel that he is.
I think that's a steal for the Leafs to be their third-line center. I mean, he's much like we previously talked about Braden Point. He can play the wing. He can play center. He can play up or down the lineup. It's not going to be, if you got to bump him up to the second line center, due to injury later on in the season, I don't really. You're either bumping out Matthews or Tavares because of injury, but I think he's a very adequate replacement, and you don't have that hair trigger to worry about that you had with Kadri.
You don't, and you have somebody who can't wear number 13 in Toronto, unfortunately for him. But, there's a guy who's coming over from the Colorado Avalanche who's had a good system playing that defensive side. And really, you're going to probably see Janssen and Kapanen potentially playing with them. We know that Matthews would probably playing with Mikhailov, and Nylander has been the rumors. Then obviously you have Marner, Tavares, blank right now because of Hyman's injury, but you're going to feel that Hyman's going to be transitioned over there. And the top three forwards are looking fantastic. But something that's a big concern is the defensive side. Sort of. Dyson Barrie going there was a good ad. He's kind of the replacement for Jake Gardiner. I think that's an upgrade over Jake Gardiner, in my honest opinion. And you obviously have Jake Muzzin back. You have Morgan Riley. You have a team right now that still has question marks on that D-core. But is this team on the defensive end, is that a defensive core that can win you the Stanley Cup?
I think so. I think there's a couple diamonds in the rough on this defense as well.
Yep.
I think the bottom pairing on the defense is going to rotate in and out depending on situations.
Yep.
Much like we've seen previously with Mike Babcock. I mean, I think they're probably going to have 7 defensemen most of the season.
Yep.
Or at least carry 7 defensemen with them traveling. But I think Ben Harper's going to stick with the team long term. I don't know. Sandin's going to get a look for sure.
Yep.
The way he's played, I think Sandin gets a look before stays with the team. We've seen quite a bit of him, as well as the management of the team. I mean, fans have seen a lot of him. Management has seen quite a bit of him. I think giving Sandin an opportunity to play with the big club going into the season motivates him before he gets sent back down, because I think getting sent back down is the inevitable for Rasmus Sandin. But I do think with the pieces we have to pull in and out of this lineup, it's a playoff caliber defense. And now imagine what Sandin would look like playing all season in the A and then coming up a la, I can't think of his name right now.
Timothy Lindgren?
No, he's hurt. Dermott.
Sorry, yes.
I really drew a blank there. But no, similar situation to Travis Dermott, where he plays a lot of time in the AHL, and then you bring him up to the big club and
you
he's
get that
ready.
opportunity to flourish. And that's a guy who's not going to start the year at Toronto, and it's going to be a loss for sure to start. But going forward, Dermott will be a big piece of that decor in the top four, most certainly. We're going to transition from hockey and go to the Blue Jays quickly before we go to break. The Blue Jays are finishing their season. Okay, obviously this has been a year for Blue Jays fans. Not to really forget, though, we got to see a lot of young talent on this team with Biggio, with Vlad, with Bichette. Oh, Bichette, this looks absolutely amazing. And this might be the bittersweet side of things, but this might be the last time we see Justin Smoke in these final little couple weeks of the season before the playoffs get underway, where the Blue Jays will not be a part of, obviously. Randall Grichuk had a great year. There's been a year that Marcus Stroman got moved on. He brought in some prospects. I'm looking forward to the offseason to see what the Blue Jays management's going to do. I feel if they're going to bring back some of the older guys like Teoscar Hernandez, guys like Justin Smoke, are they going to be back? Or are they going to be getting traded? Are you going to just keep bringing in some of the young guys like Davis? Anthony Alford had an amazing game against the Baltimore Orioles, just getting the walk-off winner the other night. So I like to see the pitching improve, and I feel like there's some pitching prospects they can pursue in the MLB, and I feel that they will. And they should continue this rebuild train. Next year, we shouldn't see a season of much different. Maybe 10 more wins and 10 less losses. For the next 3 years, this team and core will stay together, and it will be a great team to watch. And the Blue Jays have been amazing this year. And anyone that say that the Blue Jays suck, the Blue Jays have been a waste, and it's been a year to forget, you suck. That's what I'm going to say. Because they're rebuilding. They are rebuilding. And at the end of the day, they're not here to win championships this year. They're not here to break records. They're here to showcase a young talent and develop, and that they have done. And Nate Pearson is someone who I'm most looking forward to on that pitching core, especially. What do you think?
I mean, personally, going into the offseason now, I'd like to see them bring in a little bit more pitching help.
Yeah.
Not just to help them out throughout the season so they can, field a decent lineup of pitchers, but to help a lot of these young guys that are coming up. They have a very, very talented pile of prospects as far as pitching prospects go. And to have a couple of these older guys going into spring training with them and kind of mentoring and showing them the ropes, whether they all make the club out of spring training, I think the experience for these young guys would be very beneficial. But I do agree with you. I mean, the team's going to be much of the same going into next season. Yep. They're not going to be a playoff contender. I don't think they're going to be so far out of it this time next year.
Nope.
But again, it's going to be an entertaining summer of baseball from the Blue Jays, and especially with this young core. It was a great summer of ball this summer to watch. I mean, that young team doesn't quit in any game, and if they can build off that next year, I think it's going to be a good club going forward.
The tightness in that locker room is amazing. Let me tell you that right now. Dave McKay, Justin Heichel, we are going to take a break, and when we come back, we have the final part of tonight's show inside On TV Studios, and that is our In the Pocket segment and football. Definitely know a lot of listeners are looking forward to that, so make sure you stick around. Take a note from our sponsors. Commercial break. We'll come back. We'll bring you In the Pocket. In the Pocket time. No? Yeah, I thought I was telling you to run far there, Justin.
No, I'm not going that far. You know I don't run.
In the Pocket time, brother. It's Dave McKay, Justin Heichel. Last part of today's show inside On TV Studios. And we got football. Obviously, I think that makes sense. Running the Pocket isn't faithful and loyal listeners of the show since 2015. That's how long this has been a part of the show. I give a shout out to Dustin Gronin for giving us the name one of our analysts here on the Game Sports Show for that. But we're going to start with local football. Okay, this previous weekend, we had some action, and St. Mary's Knights played against White Pines Wolverines in junior action. It was a 61-0 victory for St. Mary's, and obviously the White Pines program is a program that's been hopeful for improvement. Their senior team does not field a team this year, but it's good to see the junior team in there. But St. Mary's obviously didn't let up this week, and obviously it's hard. You can't. You got to keep playing the game, and either way, 61-0 is a pretty impressive win for St. Mary's. I know you're a former Knight yourself, Justin. Both my high schools don't exist anymore, St. Basil's and the Dun, just so everybody knows out there. And for senior action, the Cora Colts defeated the Superior Heights 34-13, which is a good game. Cora Colts, though, that team looks like it's not missing a beat at all. They are looking fantastic, in shape. Their Instagram's in full force. And at Core Football, it looks great. I know Matt Primo and even Jamie Antonello doing some stuff there with the program previously. Dustin Grondin. That program is the team to beat this year.
Oh, and Coach Annett's got the fellas rolling this year.
Oh, yeah. New jerseys.
The jerseys are sharp too.
Yes.
I mean, I've talked to Primo at length about the jerseys, but
Yep.
no, congrats to Cora and their success so far. I mean, it's still long this season. There's a lot of games left.
Yep.
But
and Superior Heights and St. Mary's are good teams. It was a three-team lead. Doesn't matter. A lot of good football, a lot of good talent on that field.
yeah, for sure.
There is.
Quick shout out to a little birdie friend of the show told
Yes.
me St. Mary's also played an exhibition game this week, much like Cora did last week, going away, going into the States.
Escanaba.
Yeah, St. Mary's had hosted a team from Southern Ontario, I believe St. Joan of Arc this week. And the interesting point there is that Coach Monaco and the coach of St. Joan of Arc, I believe Coach Nicoletta, went to St. Mary's together. Also played on the same football team in high school. And then Jim Monaco had them come in town this week, and they played each other.
Good
Exhibition
little
game.
feel-good stories.
Yeah.
We like that. And what I'd like to see is more of this traveling, more of these games playing. Because here in Sioux, Ontario, we've unfortunately had school closures, programs not make it, in particular with White Pines. It'd be good to see, like obviously in the States, those games count for the States, and it's a different tier of football over there. I'm not saying level, but I mean different. There's different rules. There's different stuff going on. They have more investments into their schools. But we can get to that point here in Sioux, Ontario. But it'd be good to see some more traveling. I know budget is what it comes down to, right? But with only having 3 teams, it'd be cool if we can expand or do something of such with US of A or in some Southern Ontario teams. Now, transitioning from local football, and we'll be talking more about local football tomorrow from Sports Center Bar and Grill. Show will be at 9 o'clock. Myself, Justin, and Matt Primo are due to be on that docket. And also Jamie Antonello will be making his return via telephone to the show. So we'll save some local content for tomorrow from Sports Center. And we're going to also jump into some NFL content right now. We're going to tease a little bit of that before we go into our Wednesday show as well, because obviously In the Pocket invades our Wednesday show. NFL, Week 3 just passed. If you're a Steeler fan, you are not liking what's happening. But as you see on the screen, there's Week 3, and there's a lot of, let's say, in the National Football League, rookie sensation quarterbacks, or just the backup quarterbacks, the younger quarterbacks. They're looking pretty good. And Mason Rudolph in Pittsburgh, well, even though he did get a loss, he's still looking pretty comfortable there in Pittsburgh.
All right.
Yep.
I mean, I didn't think it was as hopeless in Steeltown as everyone felt a week ago.
Yeah.
I think Rudolph stood in there, played a good game. The 49ers are no slouch. I mean, they're undefeated right now.
Yeah.
So you have to go by the record. And
Playing against the Seahawks, you've lost against the Patriots, and you've lost against the 49ers. So, and you have Gardner Minshew, who is obviously a fan favorite now.
He's 100% my new favorite quarterback in the NFL.
Yeah, everyone loves him. And Kyle Allen, obviously playing right now in place of Cam Newton, Carolina. Then you have Daniel Jones, who is replacing Eli Manning in New York Giant land, if you will. And listen, they're all looking pretty fit out there, and that's the way of modern society sports, I feel. We see that a lot in hockey, the youth, baseball, we're seeing a lot of that, the football especially, you see a lot of young retirements, and these quarterbacks are looking like they fit in, and I can't see any type of change in football, because I feel like the young game is how it's going to be in professional sports.
Well, I just think for a long time in the NFL, we were I don't know the word.
Brett Favre,
I think
Drew
we were
Brees.
blessed with franchise quarterbacks. I mean, Peyton Manning, Tom Brady, and you get into the Ben Roethlisbergers, the Eli Manning, the Phillip Rivers. There's There's just these groups of quarterbacks that were unbelievable and stood the test of time. And now you're getting into the Robert Griffins, the Andrew Lucks. I mean, Griffin's a backup. Andrew Luck's gone.
Yep.
Cam Newton's deteriorating. And it's all the style of play. The NFL has changed for, you're not having a traditional pocket-style quarterback so much anymore as you are having the mobile, more active. And look at in Buffalo. I mean, your quarterback's getting almost as many rushing yards as he is passing yards.
Yep.
So there's a lot of different offensive styles, and maybe players just aren't built to be at the 10-year, 12-year play that position for that amount of time anymore.
No, and that's where this week in the National Football League we saw a lot of success. I know where I saw success this week was on my fantasy team, I must say. 185 points this week. Yeah, that is pretty awesome. I had Mike Evans had a fantastic week for the Buccaneers. Russell Wilson had a great week. Christian McCaffrey, who I named my team after, Crispy McChicken is what I named my team.
How was that named after her?
It's Christian McCaffrey, Crispy McChicken, just saying.
Okay.
Now, come on, it's good. And Antonio Brown is a free agent. God bless the NFL for getting rid of that drama right now. It is absolute joke what has happened with him this year. And the Steelers won that trade, by the way, 3rd and 5th round pick. And the Patriots and Raiders, I don't think he's going to get his guaranteed money.
No,
but we're going
Patriots
to talk about that.
didn't pay him today.
No, they didn't. And we're going to talk about that on Wednesday from SportsCenter. But no more Antonio Brown inside of New England or the National Football League. And I want to give a quick shout out to all the local sports teams in town. Obviously, in terms of football, can't go under the wind. Obviously, a lot of the sports in town are getting a lot of coverage with hockey especially. Obviously, don't forget to check out the local football with all the high school teams that are taking place. They are obviously in full swing. Season's coming by and going very quickly, so make sure you check out that as well. That has been In the Pocket here for the Game Sports Show. We are done tonight's show. Justin, thank you for coming by. It's been Dave McKeag, Justin Heichel inside On TV Studios. This has been the Game Sports Show. And our next show will be Wednesday tomorrow from SportsCenter Bar and Grill at 9 p.m. TheGameSportsShow.com. Make sure you check that out. Have a good night. Booyah.